podcast, Olympiacos FC and Greek football.
The first day of training is when I realized, this is why they win the league every year.
When I spoke with Kevin, if I gonna sign or no for Olympiacos, he said, you are crazy, go direct, my friend.
Να πετύχω ήθελα να μείνω στην ιστορία του Ολυμπιακού.
I can't speak, sure.
Yeah.
Έλα ρε μαλάκα!
Σ' αγαπώ πάρα πολύ, Πειραιάς. Είμαι Γάβρος πάντα, όλοι μαζί.
What is up, everyone? A lovely Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening for Costa, you people in Europe. This is Gate 7 International by the fans, for the fans. Back again, and we do have a special episode for you. As Costa had mentioned on a podcast before, we are going to be doing a keep, sell, loan segment. We're going to discuss some transfer rumors. We're going to get to all of that in just a little bit. So many of you guys already checking in. I love it. A lot of our regulars are here. We love to see it. Costa, how you been today, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's great to be back. I feel like I haven't been on the show for a long time. Like, how long has it been? There was a cup final yesterday, apparently. A big show that, the show that would have been the event of the year and the event of the decade, because the toxic Olympiacos wasn't a part of it. So everything was going to go according to plan, but we'll get into that.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will, everyone. Before we get started, if you guys haven't done so already, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Hit the subscribe button and the bell if you want to know every time that we go live. Don't forget to follow us on social media as well as we continue to grow this red-white network. Guys, we're broaching 3,000 followers on Insta, about to break 2,000 on Facebook. The community continues to grow. It's lovely to see. You can see from the growth on the channel too. We love it. Help us grow this channel and become part of this red-white mission. Now, boys and girls, Costa already mentioned that we had a lovely cup final, or I guess as lovely as you could expect. Olympiakos wasn't there, so everything was going to be great. It was going to be real Greek football. Isn't that what they were saying? No Olympiakos meant that the true Greek football spirit could come back, as if we're the ones that take it away. Well, there was some spirit, all right. There was some spirit in fire, tear gas, a rock thrown at Aitor's head. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Is that the spirit that you were ready for, Costa, for the Greek Cup?
I mean, we're giving it all the banter, but for me, it's just sad, man. Same old. Nothing changes, and it's one of the reasons why the entire season I've also been saying I really don't care about this competition. I could care less if we got to the final. If we did, we won it, great. But I don't want to be a part of this EPO circus propaganda, this bullshit of the Greek Football Federation. And it's sad, man. Like, I had the game on in the background. There really is not really much you can analyze football-wise in a game that stopped after 30 minutes because a rock was thrown at a player that dared to celebrate, going 1-0 up. And, I find it, one thing I will say is I found it ironic. There was in the PAOK area on the right-hand side, as you're watching the television, there was a big banner. And it was saying, calling on the authorities to allow away fans to travel to games. And it was like, let away fans travel, no to hypocrisy and so on and so forth. It's like, how is what we saw yesterday giving anybody a positive outlook on football fans traveling from away? How is that giving any kind of prospect to that even becoming a reality or a possibility? So unfortunately, we're still very far away. Unfortunately, in 2022 in Greece, we cannot organize a football match. And then in the end, the history will say Panathinaikos won their first major trophy in 8 years. I'm going to say congratulations to them, because I think I've always believed that a strong Panathinaikos brings out the best in us. They've always been and always will be our big rival, not PAOK. So they skip a round of European qualification as well for the Conference League. Good for them, and that's it. There's not really much to talk about football wise.
Yep. And I did see a couple stories picked up in European media outside of Greece about what happened in the Greek Cup final. I'm curious to see what type of sanctions or something, if they happen, what will happen because of that cup match. Anyway, don't want to spend too much time on that. We're going to get into, before we get into the keep, sell, or loan segment, we just want to address there's been some rumors, some interesting rumors that have surfaced, as well as some renewals. Costa. There were 2 potential renewals that occurred, or that are occurring. We heard in the media that both of these players were to have meetings with Marinaki. Before Pedro Martins left for his holiday, I believe it was, he mentioned that he wanted these 2 players back at the club. And those are both Youssef El Arabi and Mathieu Valbuena. The deal on the table that has been reported is that El Arabi will be renewed for another season at 2 million euros. Something that we've discussed in the past on various shows about whether or not we think the contract is worth it. But Mathieu Valbuena will be on a much cheaper contract if what we're reading is what is to be believed. So what do you make of that? We've had a lot of discussion about how and where and why and what we should do to renew El Arabi and Valbuena. If these figures are correct, 2 million for El Arabi for 1 more season, about 1 million for Valbuena for another year. How do you feel about those renewals? Are you happy with both of them renewing?
Tough one, because on the one hand, they've been great servants to the club. I mean, El Arabi's goal scoring record speaks for itself. I think it's almost one goal every 2 games, something like 75 goals in 150 appearances, if I'm not mistaken. Something very hard to find a player that scores 20 goals a season, like minimum 20 goals a season. And we've talked a lot about how many of those were penalties this season. We've talked about his regression this year. It's hard to say because the El Arabi issue for me cannot be spoken about in isolation from the Zahavi transfer rumor, because he's also 35. But if you look at Zahavi, his body's like Mo Salah, in terms of like how lean he is and how fit he looks, his goals and assists, like his record in PSV has been fantastic, like this season as well. So I think having 2 players like El Arabi and Zahavi, both on 2 million, or I heard today Zahavi's been offered 1.5 million for 2 seasons, I think that's a luxury I'm not sure we can afford. We'll get into this obviously when we get to the keep, sell, loan segment. We've still got Tiquinho in a contract. Are we going to sell him? Is the idea to play 4-4-2 next season? So it's difficult to speak about El Arabi on his own without looking more broadly at our attacking options. But again, you kind of think the club, maybe the club's just scared. Like, I mean, whenever we've had a striker like El Arabi and it's, he's getting to that age or that time where you have to make a decision, keep him or say thank you very, very much and goodbye, you have to find someone else. And I don't think Zahavi's a like for like player to El Arabi. So that's not really an answer. More of a discussion on the El Arabi point. Valbuena, I think it's time to. I don't know, man. If he's willing to kind of stay on a low contract and play a role like Avram Papadopoulos in the dressing room, fine. If he as a if his footballing ego can live with that, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And there are, as we've heard, some leadership qualities from Valbuena. So maybe that's part of it. I think for a player that's going to be like an Avram type of player to be on 1 million a season is still a little expensive for me. But I do understand it. As far as Youssef El Arabi, this season is now finished with 27 direct goal contributions from Youssef El Arabi. That is a small drop from his first 2 seasons with us. The last season and the season before, you could say, while competing in better competitions, he had 35 goal contributions each season. That was 28 goals and 7 assists in each season for the first 2 seasons. This year with 23 goals and 4 assists this current season. So the goal contributions have dropped. They're still pretty good. But with context, this season, he did have a lot of goals that kind of happened in the garbage time of the season, we can say, when we were about locked up. He did go on a bit of a tear the last few match weeks in the Greek Super League, getting a few assists, getting a goal. But he did, his hold-up play wasn't as good as the previous 2 seasons. The end product wasn't as good as the previous 2 seasons. Me personally, if we're getting rid of Tiquinho, which it seems like we are, I understand keeping him on and then bringing in a Zahavi. I worry again about having 2 over 30-year-old strikers, no long-term option like a Pinakas or something that's a future in that role that's going to be present. I do worry about that. I still have problems with giving him 2 million a season. If we saw a decline this year, I think there's a reasonable probability that we do not see an improvement next season, that it further decreases. It only makes sense at this level, at his age. So I'm a little worried about that. Even though I love El Arabi as a player, I think he's done great things for this club. He's scored a lot of great goals, and he's done a lot of great things that we maybe can't always expect from a striker at Olympiacos. Does that make sense? Given what we can afford and what's always available to us. But I think there is a time where we have to say, look, we have to start the next project at this position. And I am worried about that level of money personally. So for me, with the potential renewals, if we can somehow drop the price on both of them, I'm okay with it. But otherwise, it's too expensive for my blood.
I'm going to read a couple of comments. It's not on topic. Basketball. How have we not talked about this? We could have a whole other episode on basketball. I will just say very quickly on that. Just proud. I mean, obviously, it was a dagger getting that 3-point in the last milliseconds of the fourth quarter and losing by 3 points to the eventual champions back-to-back FS. Congrats to them. How many times have we seen us do that to an opponent, kill them with the last shot of the game? And unfortunately, we were on the receiving end, but nothing but pride. After that wound kind of, time does its thing, and then you're just proud. And you could see it in the stadium, 12,000, they stayed for the third place final, and the third place final was louder than the final itself. And the presidents of the club, they have an appetite to go a step further next season. And Tutulatut mentions a couple of players that are free agents next year: Larkin, Shane Larkin, Mike James, Dwayne Bacon, is it, from Monaco? Guys, do you know what? We'll organize a basketball episode soon.
Yeah,
there are
some
really good players that are free agents this year. Yann M'Vila is a free agent. Paris Lee, but apparently Panathinaikos are getting him. Sergio Rodriguez is going back to Madrid. Malcolm Delaney, Nando De Colo, Donta Hall. A lot of good players for you basketball fans out there. But I digress. But I really wanted to say something about basketball. And if I start talking about Brides, I'll go on forever. So not today. Promise you, basketball episode coming soon. What else have we got? Yash Mano says, El Arabi 2 million again. How? I mean, I don't care about his wallet, but are we going to have a huge budget again? Easy excuse, but we will still struggle to play physically. And then I think there's another point being made at the bottom here about wingers. If we have energetic wingers, even El Arabi will shine next year. This is something that I was thinking about too, Ari. I mean, if you give him the service, which he didn't, I think he didn't get good service this year.
No, he did not.
If he gets good service, I think he could still score easily 20 goals a season. The question is, can he do it in Europe? Preseason this year, hopefully no COVID outbreaks during the preseason. It could be different. I mean, I don't want to be overly negative. And one thing I will say as well, guys, the press seems quite optimistic recently about El Arabi actually renewing.
Yeah.
It kind of gives me El Abdelawi vibes a little bit. So until he signs on the dotted line, assume nothing. Okay. So I'm being very cautious about this.
Yes. There's a couple of comments back here. We'll go to the most recent one about Perea from Pasyanina. Sparos here. Juan Jose Perea is a player we need in our budget. Strong, fast, better than El Arabi. They will ask about 1.2 million, but he is worth it. I don't know if we can say that he's better than El Arabi, but I definitely like him as a striking option. He would be cheap. He did a great job for Yanina. He did a job on us. He was dangerous against us every time we played against them. So I don't think I mean, I don't know if that would ever happen. When was the last time a Greek league player that we purchased made it into our core plans in the last under Martins? Giorgos Masouras is one.
A Greek forward, you said?
No, Greek. I meant like a Greek league player we bought from a Greek team in the Super League that made it into the first team. Masouras is one, right? I'm trying to think of others, like Kuipers didn't. Kosti came from Cyprus, so that doesn't count.
You don't bother. That's it. Masouras.
Right. That's it. Yeah. No other Greek league team that we've purchased a player from has made it so far into our core team, into our first team. So even though the idea of Perea is nice, the reality is, even if we did buy him, would he ever feature into our plans? Playing for us is a lot different than playing in Yanina. Being important for a smaller team is a lot different than trying to become a big part of a larger team. So I don't know. Even though I like Perea, I think he's a good player, and I would like to see us pick up a player like him. But I think we have to be a little bit realistic with what the expectations are.
You know, this has been talked about on socials. I think I've even heard it on the radio. I think he's one of the best strikers in the league. Very fast, yes. Physical, like we've said. I think his problem is in the head. I don't know if we need that kind of character in the dressing room. It seems very explosive and perhaps not in a good way. And maybe that's the reason why he's playing in Greece. But no doubt, I mean, I really like his physical attributes, and
yes,
he has something we lack up front, which is pace and strength. But then, you know, we'll get to this, but what do you do with Dimitris Pinakas? What do you do with Augustin Bar? Anybody type Augustin Bar's name in Greek on Google and see what they were writing about him this time last year. It was like, you know, the coup of the century. Like, we've got this gem from Guinea, and he's played 15 minutes, I think, at the start of the season in the game that we drew against Xanthi. Or who was it? Atromitos in the opener. I think he played in that game, and then we never saw him again. He played in the B team. So, I mean, we'll get to that. But, you know, do you really need Perea? And why don't you give these players a look that are on your roster already?
Yeah, I hear you there. I hear you there 100%. We'll see. Look, we'll see what happens. There's a nice message here from Giorgos Masouras. Kalispera, guys. Your channel deserves more attention for sure. Keep up the good work. Only Olympiacos. We need to be patient with our boss, Marinaki. He will make, again, a dream team. Love you guys, red and white. Thank you so much, Giorgos, for the comment. We really appreciate comments like that. This is why we do it. We do it because of you guys. Without you guys, there would not be a Gate 7 International. That is for sure. Moving on from those potential renewals and the discussion about those renewals, we put social media posts up about the returning loanees and the loanees that will not be returning. Those loanees, I have the list here. We have the loanees that are not coming back are the likes of Ruben Semedo, Leonardo Guterres, and Pape. Those three, as it was reported by Todeka and Nikos Kotsis, will not be returning for training. Costa, are you happy with that news?
I'm gonna be a spoil sport and say stick around, like and subscribe, leave your comments below, and we're going to talk about that later in the segment. We're going to try and get through the entire squad, maybe not 60 players, but as many as we can do. So I definitely want to come back to that later on in the discussion. Do you want to go through some of the transfer rumors before we jump into it?
Let's do it. Let's actually do that. So there were a couple of big names first. We'll start with what to me it sounds like positive news, but it's only positive news if we actually make the signing. Manchester City right back Yann Couto is 20-year-old right back that's been on loan for the past 2 seasons. I think he was in Segunda Division 2 years ago, and he was on loan at Braga this past season. We're being linked with him. It looks like he's our first choice. Again, this is according to Nikos Kotsis and Todeka. But this is an interesting move. How do you feel about this? Because for me, that's an interesting move for the player.
I'm not going to pretend I know who Yann Couto is, besides what I've read. I mean, I've understood he was voted best right back in Segunda Division a couple of seasons ago when he was at, I think he was at Girona, and they just missed promotion when he was there. He spent the season at Braga last year. Braga got to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. They got knocked out by Rangers. I think they had a couple of red cards in the second leg of their quarterfinal. Can't remember their aggregate score, but he has European experience under his belt. He's Brazilian, likes to get forward. Again, I've seen some highlights. Maybe Ari, you've seen some more. It seems like a raw talent that needs refining. I think this could probably turn out to be a loan plus option deal. I read that Manchester City may also be looking for one of those deals where it's 50-50 co-ownership. So I don't know if this is just like the first rumors falling off the transfer rumor mill, or if it's, there's something in it. I read that both Modesto and Martins like the player, that he's top of the list. Let's see. If anything, fresh legs on the wings would be great. And he seems to have had some good experience in the last season.
Yeah, I didn't do a full deep dive on him. We only reserved those for players that we actually signed, but I did take a little cursory look at how he did at Braga, and I have to say I like what I see. He's the exact type of wingback, that mold of wingback that we have been missing. In terms of the ability to overlap, the ability to actually try and take a player on. I only took a brief look at some things, and he seems to have that in spades. Also, the volume of touches he got at Braga, on average, like almost 60 a game, which is incredible. It's incredible touch volume from a wingback. We haven't seen that type of volume since actually Rafinha. When Rafinha played for us that first half of the season, it was the first time we saw a wingback maybe not overlap as much, but get heavily involved in our possession. And that's interesting to see. So he likes to get on the ball. He overlaps very well. He seems to have a lot of those abilities that we were missing. I don't know what the reported sums are, but it almost seems like this is something that's a little out of our reach. If we do get him, it seems like this could be a player that really could do something for us.
Sorry. Okay. Yash Costa. Costa Llanos, our good friend, a reporter for The Sun. He's asking, if Olympiacos make it to the Champions League and face Tottenham, who will Costa support? So, yes, Tottenham finished 4th place today in the Premier League. I'm very happy about that. Costa, we played Tottenham a couple of years ago, and of course I supported Olympiacos. What kind of question is that? That's ridiculous. Come on, man. But hopefully if Tottenham do get to the group stage, we won't be in the same group. I digress.
There's a quick question that I want to answer that I saw from Aguibou Scoots about the loan limit rules. Aguibou Scoots, will the loan limit rules count from next season? If I remember correctly, the UEFA loan limit rules that were voted on start in the 2022-2023 season. So that's correct. And those rules indicate that you can only loan 8. It's only 8 players in, 8 players out, I believe. I think that's what it is. I have it pulled up here. I have the book here from what was voted on. Maximum of 8 players loaned in and 8 players loaned out at any one time in the 2022-2023 season. And this is to encourage more development from academies. So this is a FIFA rule, actually. So very interesting to see something like that. And we haven't really heard much about that in the news, about how that could affect our players and things like that. So I'm very curious to see what happens with that. Thank you for that question, Aguilo. That was a great question. That was cited in some Greek press as well. I think Dodeka or Sport FM, I can't remember, but I did read that in the press as well. There's a lot of really good points being made here in the chat, and Labro, fuck you, man. Enjoy Europa League next year, my friend. 5th place, enjoy Arsenal. Sorry, it's just bants with me and Labro here. Absolutely. What else have we got on the transfer mill? I mean, we even heard that Luka Milivojevic was. I think this is bullshit. It has to be. There's no way. I mean, there's even been some mumbling on the radio. People saying, "Oh, if we have Luka Milivojevic and Bouchalakis and Yann M'Vila, we'll be watching slow motion replays for 90 minutes." And it's just I think the Milivojevic rumor would only make sense if Yann M'Vila was on his way out, something like that. But the economics as well, he's going to expect at least a 2 million a year contract to come back. And I don't know how old he is now. I think he's 32. I could be wrong, but I can check. I thought he was 31. Yeah, as much as I love Luka, I don't see how he fits into the team. So I really don't have a lot to say about that one. He just turned 31. Okay. Yeah, no, and I agree with you there. I don't see how we could bring him in without moving on, at the very least, a Yann M'Vila and Mari Camara. I don't see how. We have to move both those guys on, because he is going to want a wage. He was getting a good wage at Crystal Palace, and he's not just going to take a huge haircut for no reason, because he's going to have offers from other places. Nottingham Forest, for example. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's crazy stuff. And then of course we discussed it briefly before. Zahavi, that's 1.5 million as it's reported. The budget's only going to be increasing next season. I mean, the money, the wages that are getting thrown out here for some of these players, if we don't move some of these big contracts on, we're struggling. We can't get rid of Onyekuru. We're struggling to get rid of Onyekuru. The latest we heard was that maybe we could give him to Austria. This is a terrible situation. We did get a huge deal from Cosmote. If you guys don't know about this already, which many of you do, we just signed a 3-year deal with Cosmote, averaging about 18 million euro a season, the largest TV rights deal, and I think the longest deal we've ever signed in succession for a TV rights deal. It's big news for us, and it's more money to help. But the way things were this season, all that does is help us sort of break even. If we don't make Champions League again with the squad that we have, assuming that we're not moving people on, that is, it's only going to get worse. We're just going to be in the hole even more with some of these contracts. So we have to figure something out. We have way too many players on big contracts. We got to move somebody on. Something's got to give here. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, that's what we said what we would do today, right? We're going to look at the squad and we're going to try and play boss. So, okay, keep, sell, or loan. Who's reached their limit up in the market? For who is it time to go?
Who do we want to keep next season? Should we get into it?
Let's just do it. Things are bleeding into it already. Let's just do it.
Let's
Keep,
do
sell,
it.
loan, baby. Let's do it.
All right. First one. I'm going to start with the keeper. So, Tomas Vaclik. It took us a whole season to pronounce his name properly. I mean, look, I think he's already signed his extension, hasn't he? He's been automatically renewed. So he's with us for another season. Overall, I think we've said this could be the best signing we made last summer. A lot of controversy around it when he came in about his fitness, how many games is he going to play. They included that clause in that he should make a certain number of appearances before his contract would be automatically renewed. He's played those number of appearances, and his contract's been renewed. And I think it's as simple as that. I do worry a little bit about his tendency to not come off his line ever on set pieces. But otherwise, I think next year could be a year where Bouchalakis should see more games in the first team.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm keep. For me, it's keep. Yeah. I'm
keep. The chat also seems to be primarily keep. I'm okay to keep him one more season because I think Vaclik is a nice stopgap until Bouchalakis develops for us. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Gostak, because I was going to bring that up as well. How he doesn't seem to like to come off his line. We have the polar opposite with Jose Sa, who probably came off his line a little bit too much in certain scenarios. So it's funny that we're saying that, but yeah, I think minus one or two nays here. It seems to be the majority want him to stay.
Yeah, I just want to pull this up. Ari, real quick, Giorgos Masouras saying we need to analyze what went wrong with Henry. He was a beast at Galatasaray. Please give us some explanation.
Hold on to this for when we bring Henry up. I do have something for this.
There are some other comments that we've seen about Lala and
we'll get to those.
And George Baldock being the right back version of Oleg. We'll bring those up later. All right, so should we go to the next one straight away?
Next one, let's do it.
Should we do Kenny? Should we do Kenny now?
Bring him up so we can get touch on that comment.
I don't know if I have a picture of him, but no, let's you go first, Ari.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
So while we're on that, because Red Guy 7 has the comment about Lala here. He says, Lala is a great player, better than everyone else, and it's a pity if he leaves. Also, Baldock is a player like Oleg that can't do long passes, centers, and help team attack. He's solid at defense, though. So I'm going to touch on the Kenny Lala stuff as well, because guys, we briefly did a little bit of discussion about Kenny Lala a few times about why he's such a frustrating player for us. So the good things about him is he is a gifted technically player. He has the most accurate cross on the team. We've discussed this before. He has the most accurate cross, period. He also has an eye for through balls. So the commenter's name, I already pulled it away. Was it Red George 7, Red G7? Red Guy 7, sorry. So Red Guy 7 brings up a good point because Kenny Lala has a knack for those. He has a remarkable number of smart passes and through balls for a right back, more than we see generally on average for this team. The problem with Kenny Lala was he never truly, and this is the feeling that I get, I don't think he ever truly adapted to a higher possession team, or a team that on paper was supposed to be higher possession. We didn't see a lot of that upward mobility consistently from him, the overlapping, the movement forward that we expect out of a wing back for us. We didn't get a lot of that out of him. He's also a guy that doesn't have that fighting spirit. Like, he's very cool, nonchalant on the field. You don't see a lot of emotion, which can tick off a lot of fans. We've seen Fortounis, people knock on Fortounis about that as well. So that doesn't help with a lot of things. You guys have to remember, this guy came from a team that sat back defensively, would get forward on a counter. So that was his role, was to be more defensive and get forward on odd chances because he wasn't usually dominant in possession. And this is part of the problem with him. Overall, defensively, he did have some bad moments, like where there was clear lapses of judgment maybe, and just letting players get by him with the ball that led to goal scoring chances. Lucky Kavala has a great comment here, just as I was talking about. Can you count the number of goals we conceded? Because he would have games where positionally he was fine, and then he would just have these terrible brain farts. But yeah, so Kenny,
like Atalanta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's great parts of his game, but there's also some really bad parts of his game. And for the amount of money that we paid for him, this was a relatively low risk deal because we didn't pay big bucks for him. We needed a first string right back, but the problem is we needed real depth at the right back position. We relied on the likes of Adroutsos, which was never really, unfortunately, a real option at right back. And halfway through the season, we decided we were going to start trying Marios Vrusai at right back. So all of this plays into some of the reasons that Kenny hasn't had a great season. So for me, I would rather just kind of start from scratch and build something that we need from the right back position. I'm Stel.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak long about this one. For me, it's Stel as well. There have been moments where I thought, this guy's great. Like against Fenerbahce, when we played away from home, I think he came on that game and he was brilliant. I think I remember a game against Panathinaikos this season as well, even though we didn't beat them this year, where he was playing the whole wing on his own. Even Ludogorets, characteristically at the start of the season, I was at the game and I remember the first 5-10 minutes of the game, it was the only part of the game where we really pressed Ludogorets. And Kenny Lala was everywhere. He was an important factor those first 5-10 minutes. And then that kind of summarizes his whole season. Like 5-10 minutes in a game where you'll see some things from him and think, great, there's something in this player and we should give him a bit more time. But over the long course of the season, just haven't seen enough. And I don't think he wants to be here. And maybe Agreed. That's the most important thing. And I think you raised a really good point in the end, it's kind of a low risk. It was a low risk move. We didn't pay a lot of money for him. And I think we might actually even end up making more money from a sale. I think we got him for something like 500k, 750k, and Lille are interested. Lille have a bit of money. I expect that he won't be with us next season. Yep. So for me, it's Stel.
Yep, there was a comment here about keeping him from Giorgos Masouras here. Best choice is to keep him for rotation and buy a classic right back. We pay him a little bit too much money to be a rotation back. He's remember he was making 800k at Strasbourg. I believe again the best information we had at the time said we were paying about 1.1. 1.1. That's a little too expensive for a rotation back.
But that means we need 2 right backs.
Exactly. So. Well, apparently we're targeting them. So if we're targeting a first choice already, then that for me, that says it all. If we're already targeting a first choice right back, 1.1 is too much for me for a rotation back, given the budget that we have. That's how I feel about that.
Next one.
Next? Oleg.
All right, so I'll start this one. Oleg for me is keep, but as a rotation option. I think that there were definitely moments this season where, particularly from September or August to January, Oleg has been an important player. He had the goal against Antwerp that won us the game in the first, I think was it the first game of the Europa League. I think he was also involved in the Tiquinho goal against Fenerbahce. So he has some really important goal contributions in Europe this season. I think in general, we saw improvement. Again, the first half of the season in particular, his crossing metrics improved. And this is all without competition. So I'd like to see him stay. I think we need to sign a number 1 left back. And I would like to see what that does to Oleg. I still think he has another season in him. And with proper competition, I would like to see in what way that impacts his game. Can he improve his dribbling? Can he improve his vision on the pitch? Some people probably say, no, you either have that or you don't. It's hard to develop at his age. Let's see. But for me, he's a good squad option. And if anything, you can't fault him for effort ever. I think he always gives everything. And he also scored the winner against PAOK away from home that essentially clinched the title. So he's been there this season. So for me, he's keep.
I am going to second exactly what you said. Keep as primarily a rotation player. I know that I'm kind of contradicting what I said about Kenny Lala, because Oleg is also on he's on a bigger contract, I believe, than Kenny. I think he's on about 1.3 million this season. We bought him for 2 million. But what we see from Oleg that we don't see from Lala, which makes this an easier argument for keeping, is his effort. The guy leaves everything on the pitch. He's been run into the ground this season. He had the most minutes besides Tomas Vaclik in the first half of the season. Now, there's a lot more, I should say, split opinion about him than Tomas Vaclik. Everybody was keep, I think, except for one person. It still looks like the majority of people here want to see him kept. But I agree with you. I think we'll see better out of Oleg, not just with some rest. Is this comment buy one card, Greek, buy one card? Get out of here. But no, I think we'll see the best out of Oleg, not just in a system that can hold possession better, but with real competition. This kid leaves everything on the field, and that's something you want to see. You really want to see out of a player.
What's Labro saying? Labro saying he won't accept a role as a rotation player. Martins loves him. Not happening as bench player. Good authority, being Kostas Nikolakopoulos, said on the radio the other day that that we're looking to sign a first-string left back. Oh no, it wasn't Nikolakopoulos. It was Stamatelos, I think. Slightly different, but we'll see. For us, it's keep at least.
Yeah. I will say, as a player, there's a difference between being told that you're a rotation player and also being told, hey, your starting spot isn't guaranteed. Those are two different scenarios. When you're told that, listen, your second choice, you're going to have to work to get first choice back, there's a different scenario than saying, hey, listen, this person has what it takes to play this position. So if you slip up or you don't work hard, you lose that. Those are two completely different scenarios. And I think Martins would be more the type of basically telling Oleg it's his position to lose in that respect.
Okay, so we're both keep. Should we go next one?
Yep.
This one's you.
Oh, Sokratis. So what he's under contract for one more season?
Yep.
So the Cissé is pretty much the only person we can sell is Cissé. There's no selling Sokratis. Who are you going to sell him to? There's no loaning Sokratis. So you know what I mean? So I mean, for me, it's keep. I'm keeping him at the very least one more season to have that to have the veteran presence there. He did have some good games for us. We need his leadership. I'm keeping him for one more season. I'm keeping him, even if he's not playing all the time, even if he's third choice. Manola is going to get a full season. Hopefully, recovers from his injury. I know Sokratis is injury prone. I know we won't get a full season day in, day out of him, but I think he is an important player to have. We saw that in many games this season. I'm keeping him.
Yeah, I think you said it well. Who's going to buy him? Who's going to loan him? Somebody's saying in the chat that Roma wanted him on loan. I think that was a rumor, like Mourinho back in, I don't know if it was December, January, but nah.
Who's loaning a 37-year-old defender? 35-year-old, sorry.
I mean, I think you get from Sokratis what you expect in terms of his experience, his age. Look, guys, I mean, age is a number, yes. Look at Pape at Porto. Isn't he 39? Like going 40 or something?
Wait a minute. What are we saying? He was born in 88. He's 33. He's turning 34 this summer. He's a summer guy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He's turning 34. So he's okay. We probably at least one more season. We're getting one more season out of it.
Like Gavala saying, Sokratis is a pointless waste of money, past his prime, can only function with 3 in the back. This is a big if. You can tell by the excessive use of hands. I think there's an issue here that's being pointed out, which is that the centre backs that we have, they have the same kind of traits.
Yes.
Whereas in the past, I think people talk about Avram and Olaf Melberg. More recently, when we had Manolas and Siovas, they complemented each other. Siovas was slower, but very good at building play up from the back, and Manolas made up for Siovas's lack of pace. You look at the team today, and we haven't really bedded a centre back pairing this season. It's been a little bit of Sokratis and Cissé. It's been very little of Manolas and Sokratis. I think we saw Manolas Cissé once or twice this season. Tell me what our centre-back pairing was this season. Anyone? We didn't have one. We didn't have a...
Cissé Sokratis was
probably the most consistent one.
Right.
The most consistent one that we had was Sokratis Cissé. And even that, I'm not sure. But keep. Yeah. I think we can move on to the next one now.
Yep.
All righty. This one's a surprise. Can anyone actually watching on YouTube tell us who this is? Because he's played so little. Like Ari, I'm looking at your face now.
I couldn't tell with the facial features, but it looks like Kitsos.
That's Svetozar Markovic.
That's Markovic? Oh my goodness.
That is Svetozar Markovic.
Well, isn't he out?
Oh, so he's still on the roster. But yeah, we've heard that we saw effectively. This is a picture of him playing against Neftchi Baku, where he started 2 games in that Champions League qualification campaign. Played very well. So anyway, it looks like he's gone. I just brought this one up because we've all heard what may have happened with his case. We even, looked into that ourselves. What we heard is that Martins basically thinks he's not ready for this level. Martins sees what he sees in training, but I vehemently disagree. I think this is a waste of talent. And I think it could be one of those players that we see in a couple of years playing for a club and thinking, bloody hell, this defender's really good. Why couldn't we nurture him into the first team? So I'm not going to bother saying keep Stel alone. I think I made my view clear, but I just wanted to bring this up as a teaser.
There was a comment from our good friends at the NoChoftes podcast asking if he is the bloke that won the penalty against us last season. No, it is not. It was not him. But yeah, Costa, I agree with you there. This guy has done wonderful things for Serbian U20. Is it U21s or U23s? I saw great value in him as a ball playing center back. I thought he could have been a possible replacement for Ruben Semedo. I'm with you too. I also am going to agree with agree with you and disagree with Pedro Martins on his assessment of that player, because I liked Markovic a lot, and I'm disappointed with his treatment so far.
Next one. Bucha.
Am I starting with this one, or is this you?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So I have been this season probably the staunchest defender of Bouchalakis. I know what everybody says. Everyone hates how slow he is with the ball. Everyone hates how sometimes he's a confidence player. And when you have confidence players, the second they're not confident, they can have howlers. They can get in their heads. They can have issues. I know probably the vast majority of the fans are going to say to sell or whatever just to get rid of him. He is a player that has a specific role in this team. There is a niche for Bouchalakis, and Pedro Martins is the only coach that has been able to find that they get something consistently out of him. Bouchalakis is the team leader when it comes to final third through balls and smart passes. As a deeper lying center mid, we know that he is probably not the best partner for a guy like Yann M'Vila. We saw the best out of him when he was partnered with a proper playing Mari Camara and a Guilherme. Don't forget, guys, he was the chosen first starting back with Guilherme before Mari Camara made it into the fold. So we've seen some great things out of him. We've also seen what happens when he's not in the midfield. Our midfield becomes porous like Swiss cheese when he's not there. He is our best ball-winning defensive midfielder. He is our best defensive midfielder, period. Whether you like to believe it or not, this is true. Yes, he's slow with the ball at his feet. Yes, he can get caught up. And yes, he's a confidence player, and that can be frustrating with all of that. But for me, Andreas Bouchalakis isn't the guy that we get rid of this summer in the midfield. There are other players that we can think about getting rid of or selling. And I think that there's a recency bias with Bouchalakis. He is not the guy we get rid of. We keep him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk too long on this one. There's a comment I'd like to pull up from Aguilos Goods. Yasu Aguila says sell, keep, full rotation. Kunde already took his position. I agree with what you said, Ari, and the stats speak for themselves. I think, for me, Bouchalakis is a decent squad player to have. I do think that he is a rhythm player. So he has that kind of body as well that you need him to play a couple of games to get into rhythm, to be match fit. And when he's match fit, both his movement with the ball, but his mind also, they work much faster. And we've seen some really nice things from him. I think some of the metrics that we were talking about throughout the season were, how many, I think he was leading in terms of forward passes.
Through balls and smart passes, final third.
Yeah. Yep. So those are stats that you rarely see. I mean, we put them out. We talk about them. So another comment, maybe the captain's armband is too much pressure on him. I don't really see a vocal captain, but there are different types of captains. There are some captains that lead by example on the pitch and don't talk a lot, and some other captains that scream and give their hair dryer treatment in the dressing room. I don't know what Bouchalakis is like in the dressing room, but maybe that's one of those things. Giorgos Masouras says Boucha is something like Busquets. I don't know about that, but I see what you mean. I see what you mean, but maybe not as good.
The caveat with Bouchalakis is who is he next to? If you put him with another guy that's like him, that's slow, likes to hang back, just in front of the defensive line, then you're not going to get the best out of him. And this is what's so irritating when we see him partnered with a guy like Yann M'Vila, especially when we don't have somebody playing in front of him that can play more box to box. Do you guys remember the game against Marseille? The first game we played, our win against Marseille last season, our midfield three, it was a 4-3-3, and it was M'Vila, Bouchalakis, Mari Camara. Do you remember that game? Our midfield was the engine that won that game. Our midfield was the reason we played so well. Bouchalakis was included in that. Now, against a team like Porto, you see what happens when Bouchalakis' confidence is shot. He leaks opportunities that lead to goals. He is not the problem. The problem is we don't have great partners for him. We can get great things out of Bouchalakis. There's a reason why both for Olympiacos and for the national team, he's seen as a player that is a consistent for the field. There is a role for him. Like I said, he is our best defensive midfielder, period. That is the truth. Costa already told you, in terms of final third, through passes, smart passes, leads the team. And Costa, actually, I just double-checked. You were right about the forward passes, progressive passes. One of our progressive passing leaders. This team did not progress the ball forward very well this season. And when you have a guy like Bouchalakis, who's the reason we progress the ball forward, him and Yann M'Vila, he's not the problem. They're not the problem. There are other problems. Again, I'm going to reiterate, despite a lot of people disagreeing with me in the chat, Bouchalakis is a keep.
I think in the end, I'm going to say keep as well.
Yeah.
We missed some defenders that we're going to go back to, but we have a special guest on the line that we're going to pull in, and we're going to talk about an attacking midfielder, since we have this friend of ours joining. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on Stelio.
Blimey. Yes, Blimey, that was quick.
Otherwise known as Stel. Stel is the host of the NoChoftes podcast, dedicated podcast for Omonoia FC from Cyprus. Stel, how's it going, man? Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you for sending me the link, mate. Honestly, it's great to be on again. Is this the first or second time or third time I've been on this? I can't remember, man. Losing track.
Second.
Yeah.
Third.
No, you were on once last year. Then again after, and for when we played in the Champions League qualifiers.
Yes.
And then I think you came on again after that. There was I feel like you've been on about 3 times now. I'm pretty sure.
And you've been on mine a couple times, I think.
That's also correct.
Anyway, I know Costa has, because Costa's.
We talked about Maxi Lovera, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when we brought him off you guys, when we loaned him from you guys. Yeah. So, have you spoken about him yet, or have I?
No, you're going to tell us, because his name came up on the Greek radio the other day from Kostas Nikolakopoulos, who's like the patriarch of the Olympiacos, reporting and everything. He didn't really have a lot to say. Kostas Nikolakopoulos on the radio, he basically said that Maxi Lovera is one of those players who he's 23 years old and he still hasn't learned how to get into the box. And he's still a player that attempts to score from 30, 35 yards. I've seen his stats at Omonoia. I think he's got 4 or 5 assists for you.
Yeah, he's done well. He's done well.
Tell us how has it gone? Like, because I think even the people in the chat, they're curious. We haven't heard a lot.
Right. Well, okay. So I try to see things objectively. So I'm not one of these football fans that when we sign a player, I expect him to hit the ground running. Okay. So when Maxi joined us, it was the end of January. It was like deadline day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it wasn't the beginning of January. So he joined on deadline day at a time when we were terrible. Like our league campaign has been dreadful. It's the first time we've finished outside the top 6. There was no route to qualify for Europe through the league, so we had to focus on the cup. Henningberg got sacked after losing to Upwell again, 4-2. And Maxi was a bit of a frustrating player. And by that, I mean, he'd get the ball, great turn of pace, but the end product was lacking. You're seeing him trying shots from 30 yards. You're seeing him try Hollywood balls. But you could tell that there's something in this player. There's something in him. Now, I was saying that it's possibly the players around him that weren't giving him that support because, again, he joined at the end of January, didn't have a pre-season with us, didn't really get the chance to get to know his teammates. Now, we're lucky that we've got a lot of Spanish-speaking players, Marko Shepovic being one of them, Fabiano, the goalkeeper, is Brazilian, but he speaks Spanish, Kiko, the Portuguese fullback. So we've got Spanish-speaking players. So in terms of the language, I don't know if he speaks Greek, to be honest. I doubt he does. But no, there you go. So look, it took him a bit of time, but the moment Neil Lennon turned up, everything changed. Not just for Maxi, but the rest of the squad. The players they're playing with more confidence. There's more energy. There's more work rate. There's more hunger. And Maxi has just been one of our top players recently in recent weeks. So Loizou's done well. Bashiru's been fantastic. You know, Fabiano, the goalkeeper. But Maxi, the past few weeks, especially in the cup games, he's been outstanding. And we played NoChoftes away from home in the first leg of the semi-final. And he was outstanding. You know, on that left-hand side with Lesiak, they had a great partnership. He was getting in behind fullbacks, back to goal, twisting, turning, low centre of gravity. He'd be making diagonal runs. He'll be overlapping. He was fantastic. Off the ball as well. Defensively, he was tracking back, winning balls, helping out in the middle of the park if need be. And then we played NoChoftes in the second leg. And we were goal up after 5 minutes. 3 minutes later, we're down to 10 men. Right, so 8 minutes in, we're down to 10 men in the game that we're 3-0 up on aggregate, and our backs are against the wall. Amir Varda was all over the place. He's a fantastic footballer, absolutely fantastic. And he got Player of the Year deservedly, even though they're not going to qualify for anything. I'm not to see. Anyway, whatever. Let's not talk about them. Who cares? But Lovera did his job defensively. He was helping the fullbacks. He was tracking back, tracking runners. He was all over the pitch, man. And I'll tell you what, the energy levels that he showed, he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. And, okay, he's been inconsistent. He can be frustrating. There are some occasions where you're thinking, you're holding onto the ball for too long. Look at your runners. You know, he wants to do it himself a lot of the time. But there's been moments where he's beaten 3 or 4 players in one phase of play. And it was just that end product that he's lacking. And I think with him, he's what, 23 years old now, right? Did I give him some? I don't know what we gave him. It must have been Lennon. Lennon must have given him Guinness or something. I don't fucking know. But it seems to be working. And listen, I'm very happy with the way that he's gone at the moment. As I said, he can be frustrating. And as you know, Gustav, I've messaged you. I'm like, for fuck's sake, like, there was one game we played. Was it? I think it was Loxa. First half, he was terrible. I'm thinking, what the fuck is it? Who is this guy? And then second half, he was completely opposite. And again, I'm like, who is this guy? He's like Forrest Gump. We joke about it in the podcast. He's Forrest Gump, like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get, you know? But to be fair, I think, as I said, given the circumstances, him joining at the club when we're going through a very difficult time, a lot of uncertainty, he's really stepped up lately, man. I think we've got a cup final on Wednesday, and he'll probably start that. He's been keeping Botiak out of the team as well. And Eric is one of our most influential players. So, you know, it shows how well he's doing. It shows how well he's trusted. And his attitude is great as well. You don't see him shirking anything. You don't hear stories about him getting into trouble. Keeps himself to himself. But I'd like to keep him. I'd like to keep him, to be fair, because he's got a lot of potential. And he'll smash the Cypriot League if he gives him another season there. You know, if he has a pre-season with us. But you know, this is football, man. You can't get emotionally invested in a lot of players because next thing you know, they're out the door. And especially in Cyprus, man, players come and go like anything. It's ridiculous.
That's a really, really excellent overview there. And I learned some things that I wasn't aware of. And I know that we've texted back and forth a few times, and you've given me some updates. And I think the most interesting thing I heard now is that he's tracking back, or at least I think it just sounds like Neil Lennon's had a real impact. And then it's a confidence thing. Like, and we talked about this before. I think he's the kind of player that has had a hard time adjusting coming over from South America. And if he doesn't manage to bed down somewhere, the eventuality is he's probably going to end up going back across the Atlantic, back to Argentina, to Brazil, God knows where. I think that, so I don't know if you've heard this still, but Pedro Martins, our coach, apparently announced that there are certain players that went out on loan that he wants to come back.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw one of your thumbnails. I'm sure it was one of your podcasts you did recently. And we did a post. It was just a post. Yeah, sorry, apologies. Yeah. So Maxi was one of the
He's one of the players that he wants back. I think this is a numbers thing because Mid-June, there will be players that will have been on international duty for the Nations League at the beginning of June, and they're not going to be joining pre-season early on. And I think he is being called back to make up the numbers. I think it's on him to show that he has made progress while he's out in Cyprus. And I do want to bring this comment up. Yanni, I'm not sure I agree with this from purely and simply because Cyprus is ranked higher than us in UEFA coefficient. So I wouldn't be too quick about saying the Cypriot League is Farmers League, because I think we're farmers too, if you want to talk about that. So
to be fair, Lazaro has had a good season. I wouldn't say he's been amazing though. I mean, NoChoftes didn't finish in the top 4, so they won't be in European football next season. And they bottled it. They absolutely bottled it. They could have finished second if they beat Abuel last week. They would leapfrog them, but they drew and they lost the other day to Aris. And Aris got promoted. This season is their first season back in the top division, and they finished 4th. So it hasn't been a great season for Getspire. Oh well. Well, it's been a good weekend for me. Abuel lost today to Buffer, so they're not going to get Champions League football. So anyway, I'm not going to go into that team again.
Can you get into Europe via the cup?
Yeah, so basically, if we win the cup, we're guaranteed Conference League, because Roma finished 6th and Feyenoord finished 3rd, and one of them is going to win the Conference League. So we will get Conference League if we lose in the playoff. If we win the playoff, we go straight into the Europa League. So it's looking promising for us, man. And, you know, as I said, Lenny's come in, and I doubted him. I really did doubt him. You guys know, when he came in, I was like, what the fuck is going on? But I tell you what, I don't know what's happened in the time that he left Bolton to now. But these players, he's worked miracles, man. Honestly, he's done so well. Bravo.
Mate,
thank you so much.
I wish you guys good luck in the cup.
Thank you, man.
Obviously, we'll be rooting for you. Maybe Maxi Lovera pulls off a hat-trick. And I'll tell you one thing. If he doesn't stay with us this season, I don't see why we wouldn't perhaps loan him back to you. I think he still has another 2 years on his contract, 2024.
Yeah.
So
well, we've got a good relationship with you guys, so it wouldn't surprise me if there's something in the pipeline. But people are talking about possibly Loizou coming to you guys. That's the latest rumor. And I'll tell you what, this is another kid who 4 or 5 months ago I was saying, what the fuck is going on with him? Like, he's gone from up there to down there. But again, his improvement, everything from the attitude to his application. I was talking to one of the board members the other day on our podcast, Nigo, and he was telling me that, you know, his GPS stats for the NoChoftes game when we were down to 10 men were off the scale. You know, the lad has really changed things mentally, physically. He's bulked up a little bit. So yeah, there's a possibility he'll come to Olympiacos, but you never know with these things, isn't it? So,
do you think he's ready still?
Yeah.
No, not yet. And I'm not saying that because I want him to stay. I just think that Olympiacos is a massive club, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, Omonoia is a big club, but you can't compare the sizes. You can't. And the expectation. I know there's a couple of Cypriot kids in your under 23s.
Yannis Kosti.
Yes, Kosti.
Yeah. So having them there and having them around might help him. You never know. But the thing is, he's a very talented and gifted player. I mean, it's easy for me to say this because I'm an Omoniadi, but you know, I've been watching football all my life, you know, and I work in football as well. So when I see talent, I know talent. And him and Johnny's were the 2 standout players that come out of our academy in recent times. And Johnny's is now in MLS with Sporting KC. And you know, Loizou he's a good kid, but he's a family man. He's a family boy as well. You know, very close to his brother, very close to his mum. Would he want to go to Greece? I don't see why not. His mum goes there on holiday quite a bit. So I don't think there'll be an issue. Again, it's the level of expectation. There's a lot. And he's already had enough on his shoulders as well recently. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up at Olympiacos. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But we've heard that Benfica are interested. We've heard that Anderlecht are interested. Bruges are interested, or Brugge, as they. So again, it's all stories. It's all stories. So you'll never know until he's holding that shirt in a press conference. Mind you, Obi Mikel did that with Man United, and then he did a U-turn. So that doesn't matter anymore, does it? So yeah. Anyway, but look, Maxi's a quality player, and if we can get him back for another year, fantastic, great. But money talks, doesn't it? And we don't really have much, so something's got to give anyway.
All right. Well, we got some fresh transfer rumors brewing there. Still with was it Loizos Loizou, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go.
So, mate, he plays for the national team at 18 years old, mate. You can't be too bad. So.
I'd be looking forward to that if he does make it over here. So cross our fingers for that.
Well, yeah, again, it's all rumors. So I don't want to land anyone in any trouble. It's just
of course.
Well, look, boys, good luck for the summer anyway. Hope you guys bring in the players that you want, and I hope next season you have more interest. Oh, sorry, because you won the league this season, but I hope you win the league with better football this season. Because I know
there you go.
You guys are quite pissed off about,
Yes, we hope so.
I'm a purist. I love winning ugly. I don't give a shit. Give me the trophy.
Tell me that when you've won 47.
Oh, we're not even halfway there, man. Come on.
We're a special. We're a special kind of.
Brother, if we won 47 league titles, we'd still have Apoel fans saying, but you didn't get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And I'll still be saying, you don't win a trophy for getting to the quarterfinals, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh.
Something to talk about another time. Stel,
sorry?
Thank you so much. That's something to get into another time. We can.
Don't
worry
about them.
too.
Sorry. Right, boys. Galinita, thank you very much for your time. All the best,
Thank you.
Galinita, thank you.
All right.
Cheers, mate.
All right.
Thank you. All right, so we got a little insight onto Maxi Lovera, and there's somebody else waiting to come in. Who's this? Oh, hello.
Substitution. A lovely substitution.
Man, I'm in, making it from the phone. I hope the audio isn't terrible. How are we all tonight?
Doing good. It's a perfect substitution because I myself do have to head out. I now have to go pick my son up. So subbing Lambro in for me. This is the Pedro Martins 80th minute substitution.
Indeed.
Is it Hassan? Hassan's coming on.
It's Hassan coming on.
Talking about Hassan, isn't he coming up in the chat? Are we going to talk about Hassan? He's coming back.
There you go. Perfect time for you to get started. I'll see everyone later.
Yasu Ari.
Galinita.
Take care, man. All right. We were kind of going through from goalkeeper defense, and then we went on to Maxi Lovera, and then you came in 80th minute substitution. Indeed. Let's talk Hassan. All right, let's do it. Let's talk Hassan.
Okay.
What do you got? Keep, sell, loan.
How does he even fit in the team? He doesn't fit at all, does he? I don't know if you can keep him. Can you? Or you keep Hassan and you sell Tiquinho. I think that's the only way.
I think you're right.
So it's really just what the management wants to do. First things first, I think we sell Tiquinho. I don't think that's come up yet, but you sell Tiquinho. And I guess you keep... No, and for me, you sell Hassan as well, to be honest. You sell Hassan as well. And then you rebuild Zahavi and Arabi and a third striker. I saw you guys talk about Pereira. I don't think that's going to happen. If Hugo Kuipers can even break in, Pereira is not breaking in either. I'm sorry I'm saying the bad news.
Yeah, do you know what? Just going to make it easy. I'm going to say sell Hassan and sell Tiquinho as well. I think there are, like I said earlier, there are a couple of players on our B team that I would like to see. They have different traits. They're not big, towers like Hassan, Tiquinho. They're more mobile players, Binagas and Alguacin Bar. Okay, maybe questions about are they ready for the Olympiacos kind of level and competing in Europe where they've never played before. But I would like to see us generate some cash from a Tiquinho sale and Hassan. And
will be worth 4 to 5 million euros in Turkey. Same with Tiquinho, I think 6 to 7 you could get for him, maybe again in Turkey. Or...
You can generate some cash for sure from selling those players.
For sure.
Both have proven to be goal scorers for the team. Hassan in particular has scored some very important goals for us, but I I just, have this craving to do better. What can I say? So for me, sell both. We can kill two birds with one stone.
They're similar players. They're very heavy. Their first touch isn't very good. I think they're both better with their head than they are with their feet. And for me, Tiquinho in particular can't play alone top. I thought he did have. I remember the Atalanta game where you went first leg, I went second leg. I thought he played well, but it was just moments where you're like, this guy can't hold the ball. Like his hold up play was decent. Maybe it was the other players weren't helping so much, but from what I understand from Tiquinho, it's just he's always been a player with a second striker, like a quick striker playing off of him. He, I don't know, just heads the ball, moves it on. When he doesn't have that, I feel like he struggles. Sometimes I just feel like he goes missing, but maybe it was the team this season. I don't know. It's just like a player in a weird situation. Like, it would be fine to keep him, but I just don't know.
Hassan Cook has turned up in the comments. I'm coming back, guys.
Costa or Hassan would be very good to have in the qualifiers, to be honest. He's a known goal scorer. He knows Olympiacos. Like, he knows the system. Like, there's no El Arabi, he still doesn't have a contract. I guess he's going to, from what I'm reading in the newspaper, reading the tea leaves. It sounds like he will, but Hassan knows Olympiacos, knows the team, and at the moment, if El Arabi doesn't come back, we're stuck Hassan and Tiquinho, so we kind of need him, at least for the qualifiers. So.
Yeah, well, I think the point with Tiquinho that you raised about 4-4-2 is a good one. But with El Arabi, it doesn't work. We've seen it all season. They can't play together. They can't play together.
It's too slow. For modern football, you can't have two strikers like that playing. We need some pace as well. I love El Arabi, but I really think to play at a high level, let's be honest, if Olympiacos is going to play teams, they're going to need a bit of a quicker striker. Almost like Guerrero, what he brought was pressing and running. I don't think that's too hard to ask for from someone, but El Arabi and Tiquinho are not bringing that. Tiquinho couldn't get close to anybody in the press game. But I also do think Tiquinho's worth at least 5 million euros. Like, I think Tiquinho's a proven goal scorer for Porto in the Champions League, Europa League, had a decent campaign. I don't think it's a stretch to say you could sell him to raise some capital like 5 million euros. Yeah.
All right, so very quickly, Labro, as quickly as you can. El Arabi, Tiquinho, Hassan, keep, sell, or loan.
El Arabi for me, you keep. Hassan, keep at least for qualifiers. Tiquinho, you sell, I guess. You have to sell him. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I'm torn. This is the area I'm not sure on.
Okay, there we have it. I think we've done the strikers, actually. We've done the strikers.
Yeah. Wingers, yeah.
Wingers. Okay,
very quick.
Let's make it interesting.
Okay. Keep you, unfortunately.
Giorgos Masouras.
It's the only option. You have to keep. You have to keep him. Also, yeah, I am in a prison. Someone said, "Are you a prison cell?" I can't put my phone down. I'm in my girlfriend's bedroom. Everyone, I'm stuck. I can't. I'm not in the normal setup. I'm in a jail cell. No, that's a joke. She'll kill me. But Giorgos Masouras.
Yeah, I'm not going to get it. Actually, you know what? If his market value has reached limit up for me, I think he's worth 10 million euro now on the market, according to Transfermarkt at least. I think if you get a bid that's anywhere near that, you sell him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yes, we all know his value. We all know his good traits, his not so good qualities as well. For me, ideally, if you get a high bid, you sell. The question is, where's that going to come from? There's been a lot of rumors from Turkey that Trabzonspor are looking at him. Trabzonspor won the league in Turkey this season. So maybe they have the funds to make a bid. Then the question is, does he want to move to Turkey? Bakasetas and Siopis are both their teammates in the national team. I don't know. I do have a lot of respect for Masouras as a player, as a professional. He's come from 4th division Greek football to playing for Panionios and then playing for his playing for the club that he loves. I mean, he's an Olympiacos fan. He had Giovanni posters on his wall. So I'm a little bit torn on this one.
No, I don't think you can sell him realistically in the qualifiers. I also think he's a Pedro Martins player, so he's not going anywhere. The one thing I'll say, I don't know if you and Adi brought it up, but the pipeline to Nottingham Forest, if they get promoted, I think a lot of players will be moving through that pipeline. I think Mari Camara, Cissé, maybe even Masouras could be a player. Like, that's a pipeline where I think we can reinforce our team and give our players who've had a bad season a second start in the Premier League. So if they go up, I think that's something that's really, really important to our transfer strategy. I know a lot of people won't want to hear that, but we can offload a lot of our players who have shown talent that they can maybe play at that level, but have regressed this season, and free up some capital. So
well, that's a super interesting point that you just raised, and we've talked a lot about Pape Cissé this season. Definitely, at a certain point during the year, I was convinced that he was our MVP this year. I love him to bits. I got to meet him this year as well. Just more than a footballer, just a fantastic human being. He's been at the club for 6 years, I think, now. And maybe, as you said, if Forest do go up, I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening. I think it is time this season we will see him go. I think we'll get a fairly decent bid. I expect something around 10 million euro, and I think he's going to go. That's my take on the season.
I think that's fair. Also, I don't know how shit my audio is. I'm sorry, everyone.
It's much better now.
Probably gonna. It's better. Okay, I'm live on the iPhone, so my girlfriend can listen to all of this live as well. Yeah, she's happy with that. But yeah, Cissé, I think you have to sell, guys. Like, I think it's time for him to go. He deserves to move. And also, like I said, I think Nottingham Forest, I was watching their game. Like, they're playing with Steve Cook, who's like 36 years old. It's Papa Cissé. Like, I know this guy's experienced in the Premier League, English football. And McKenna, like some of these dudes I've watched for Nottingham Forest, and it's like, these defenders will get smoked in the Premier League if they go up. Cissé could play a massive role if they do go up. I think it's a way to move money around between the clubs. So I would be looking into that. But yeah, I think he's gone either way. Nottingham Forest or anyone. I think he's being sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Bar? What about Bar, Labro? Ousseynou Bar?
What about Bar? I don't know. I think he's got to go. I think everyone needs a restart almost, you know? Like, I don't know what the fuck the deal is with the guy. Like, is he useful? Of course he's useful. But also, sometimes I like to think of it from the player's perspective. Like, we don't talk about that a lot. We talk about from Olympiacos. Like, I've raised the question about Oleg becoming a backup. The guy is not, like, this guy's 24 years old, came to Olympiacos, a stepping stone. He's going to enter his second year, and they're going to say you're going to be a backup. No, he's going to move away. So that's, like, out of the picture for me, even. Ba, for example, I've just stayed 3 seasons at Olympiacos. Now I'm a bench warmer. I have Manoula, Sokratis, and let's say, like, another player ahead of me. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I think he's gone. Unless he's promised that third center back spot, which is for sure going to play a role in which Sokratis and Manoulas get injured. So Sokratis and Manoulas, like two 30-year-old aging central defenders, do you really want them together? I don't know.
Yeah, some relevant comments coming in. So, I mean, if we sell Cissé and Markovic is going, then it's Manolas and Sokratis that you have. I'm not even going to bring Manolas up as a keep sell loan because Manolas is going to finish his career here.
And Sokratis. We don't even need to bring up Sokratis as well.
Yeah, we did raise that earlier, but Bagalianis is the third, fourth centre back. If Cissé leaves, so it would be Sokratis, Manolas, Bagalianis, and like Kinkue. Those are your and Avram if Avram stays. Those are your centre backs.
So I think he almost has to stay, but the problem is just like from the player perspective, like his agent's probably looking to get him a move as well. I would assume. I
mean, he said it 2 seasons ago, right? He wants to move. I mean,
yeah, it makes no sense for him to stay. But from Olympiakos' perspective, Markovic has been burned. He's gone. And now you're just looking at under 23s and Avram as backups for the 2 30-year-old central defenders, over 30-year-old central defenders. So I think this is a good idea. Loan Ba, I think, is actually a good idea. Actually.
Yeah.
Like, I think we should have loaned him to Saint Etienne. They could have used him at the end of the season, but I don't know why.
That's right. They were looking at him, I think, in January. So that could have been an interesting move. Okay, I think we're actually almost done with centre backs. I'm not going to talk about Kinkue, but this one's been some reason controversial on our show.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Yann M'Vila. Yeah,
this is an interesting one because for me, there's no question. I think defensive midfield, he's the starter. I do understand what a lot of people are talking about his mobility. He's not the fastest. He is one of those players, I think, that needs rhythm, and he was badly impacted by COVID. We've heard this from inside the club, and it was made public later on in the year. No, for me, this is an easy keep. As long as you have the right players around him, that's where I feel for him. So you need some more mobile midfielders around him to really get the most out of him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I keep. If Luka Milivojevic gets brought back in, I think you have to reconsider, though. But yeah, that's it.
I can't see that happening with Luka. We talked about it earlier on. I just can't see where he fits in. Here we go. Aguibou keep, sell or loan.
It's weird this segment we're doing keep, sell or loan because it's so difficult. Like, when do you sell? Like, when do you loan? Because we need him right now, and I'm really hoping he was just burnt out due to fatigue and not playing so much, and this being his first season playing senior football. But also, he's one of those Martins favorites players that just plays all the time, even when he's not producing, and it's a bit like maybe selling him would give an opportunity to someone else. So I don't know. I think you keep if you don't get a good offer, but he's on the edge if you get something good.
I've worried a little bit about his attitude this season, particularly the second half of the year. I mean, there's been a lot of rave reviews about Aguibou Camara, but after the African Cup of Nations, I feel like he never came back. And when he did, he was just very nervy. Didn't seem concentrated. He's getting into fights with the ref or getting into arguments with other players, and I feel like he kind of, in Greek we say "Kouvalis to kalami," but he got the big one. In English we say. So I think if we get a good offer, like a really, really good offer above 15 million, okay, I'm playing with numbers here, sell. Otherwise, I would like to see him play as an advanced 8 in the team. I don't like him as a 10. I don't like him having that role like right behind the striker. I think there's been a lot of talk about, like, in Europe, he should be playing and Fortounis can't play if Fortounis is fit, or Carvalho can't play that role because he doesn't press, etc. And Aguibou does. When we played in Atalanta and Martins deployed him as an 8 next to M'Vila, I actually liked that. I wish we saw that.
It was like he played in Fenerbahce as well. It was the system he played. It was similar. Well, okay, he played next to Mahdi as well, but it was like a little bit forward, but he was a central midfielder, allowed him to press players, go further up. But it didn't put him in the position of, hey, you're the centerpiece to create for us. And I think that's where he really struggles. I don't know how this kid was a winger, to be honest with you, at some point. I don't know how he's a 10. I really think his role is an 8 at the moment. I don't know. That's what I see. The only concern is the small body. He's not very strong. What is he really going to press and win balls very well? I don't see his tackling ability very strong. Maybe Adi can do some data on that. I just don't think he's a strong tackler and marker of. I know it sounds good, but like, do you really see Yann M'Vila next to Aguibou Camara on a 2-person midfield with a 10 in front of them? I just don't see it personally. I know we want to see him in an 8, but I think he has to play in a 3-man midfield, like central midfield, like a 4-1-2, like, you know what I mean, where there's 2 8s. But anyway, that's it for me.
I mean, you talk about his body, and he has been likened to Naby Keita. Naby Keita's not much bigger than him. I mean, okay, he's playing for Liverpool and he's more experienced and all those things, but that's where I see him. I think the discussion about whether it's a 4-4-2 midfield or whether he needs to play in a 3-man midfield, you know, why in Greece have we never seen Yann M'Vila play with Aguibou in the center of the park and then with a 10, whether it's like Carvalho? We used to do that with Ibarasa. We used to play Ibarasa as an 8 and David Fuster as a second striker /10 during Valverde's days, and that made us creative when we were playing in Greece against teams that parked the bus. But we never saw that this season. And okay, his performance dipped second half of the year. Lots of comments about Aguibou, Concept Calcio. His amazing start made us judge him too harshly. He's definitely a keep. Yeah. Interesting comment here from Get In. Algassim Bar will show up next season. Wait and see. We've talked about him a little bit already, mate. Binagas and Algassim Bar. Could one of them break into the first team this season? They both have a bit of pace. They're both mobile. Algassim Bar looks quite strong. Why not? But if he's not playing, he should be loaned out.
Preseason, and let's see. Preseason for a lot of these guys. Maxi Lovera, Chumic, Rangelovic, and let's see. That's it.
All right. We're coming up to 1.5 hours.
Yeah, it's been, I know I just got on, but
yeah, but I'm going to bring in one of our, how can I call him, most dedicated supporters.
Oh, for sure.
Am I?
There you are.
Am I dedicated? Yeah, that's a big honor, guys. Thank you for that.
Indeed. You asked to come on. I don't know if a lot of people asked to come on or are brave enough to come on the podcast very often as well, to be honest.
I'm in Moscow, so I have no people to talk about Olympiacos, about Greek football, and so on. So I have this, this inside need to share to my thoughts to people. So yeah, why not?
And they're good thoughts, to be honest. Like I like your takes, to be honest.
Well, it depends. What do you mean by good thoughts? Because I was one of the guys who was, I would forgive, not Aguibou. Oh gosh, Onyekuru first.
Onyekuru.
Yeah, and I would give you one more chance. So.
Look back at the Atalanta vlog in Piraeus and look who was the edit who said Henry Onyekuru must start. He's gonna produce something tonight.
Who was it?
That was me. Unfortunately. So everyone go check out the vlog.
We both were wrong.
Haven't seen that. That was no, not
I mean,
fun.
He was good in Turkey. He showed something there. I think it's like a psychological motivation issue with our team. It's not that he forgot the football he knew, as we say in Greece.
I don't think he wanted to be here. I think that
he pushed hard. If we remember, Costa, sorry to cut you off. Remember how when we signed him, it was like he turned us down at the start because he wanted to stay in Turkey so bad.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that? We tried to sign him, and then Galatasaray's like, we're fucking broke, man. Like, our currency has
Yeah.
just collapsed. We're not signing you for 5 million euros. And he was like crying. He's like, can we work this out another way? And Monaco was like, no, buddy, fuck right off. Like, you're getting off the wage budget. No more loans. So, yeah.
But I think, I mean, one of the listeners was saying in the chat, can you analyze this one a little bit? Because he did play. I mean, he was fantastic at Galatasaray. I remember talking to Rezan, the journalist from Turkey that we spoke to before the first Fenerbahce game, and she was telling us that in Turkey, Onyekuru is perceived as the danger man before that game, and you know, a lot of people were laughing in the chat. I mean, we analysed it right from the get-go when we signed him. This is a player that can exploit spaces when playing in Europe, when we have teams that play open against us. But for more than 3/4 of the season, he's going to be playing against defenses that are parking the bus in Greece. And we know that he's not good in build-up. He's a transition player. And it didn't make sense. Like this.
Costa, let me ask you. If we're building our team this year, are we creating a team to win the championship or to do something better in Europe?
For me, neither. It's to build a team that plays football. We didn't play football this year. We were just a cynical team. If we play football, then you can go for both those objectives. If the objective is to build a team that plays football.
No, I mean, like in general, it's enough to play with players like El Arabi in front and Hassan or Tiquinho. But in Europe, you cannot achieve anything with because they are very, very slow. We were absolutely shit on the counterattacks. And if you wanted to achieve something in Europe, you cannot play. You cannot aim for anything when your midfield and your forward players are so slow. I'm missing the times, you know, when we had Miralas, for example, we had Galeti on the wings. And for God's sake, stop playing with inside forwards. Play with the wingers. I just don't get it. I mean, I know it's a thing like last 10, 15 years. It became a little bit more of a fashion to play with inside forwards rather than wingers. But I cannot forget Kovacevic-Galeti combinations, you know.
But you know, if like, sorry to cut you off, but if you play with inside forwards, then you need the wing backs to give you the width, yeah, and deliver the crosses. When Galeti was playing, he had Tassos Pados behind him. We weren't expecting Tassos Pados to be bombing up and down the wing. Like, it's okay, sometimes, you know, on a rare occasion, you would see him giving an overlap and getting a cross in for a Nunez overhead kick in that 4-0 win in the cup. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a moment because, okay, I think we all agree Henry Onyekuru signing was tragic. Like, it's the worst signing of the season by far. 5 million or whatever, 4.5 million that we paid. It's the most expensive signing we made. 1 goal, 1 assist is the, you know, what we have at the end of the year to show. But that game against Frankfurt at home, he's the one that's, you know, to your point, in transition, he's run down the wing, beat the defender and crossed it and put it on a plate for El Arabi for 1-0 in that game. And then Martins took him off at half time. And then you're just thinking, what? The guy is just, you know, he's had a good first half and you're taking him off.
And that's literally one of the few games that he's going to be useful to your team.
Yeah.
I think it's a turning point maybe for him. I think he already kind of fucked things up when he joined, you know, after the Ludogorets game going to Turkey. And okay, it wasn't so much the green hair and dyeing his hair. It's just like, it just shows that he doesn't care, you know, doesn't want to be there. It's not invested, doesn't care. So I don't know. That's my.
But also, Costa, I think it's an interesting point you raised, like about building a team that plays football. And what the fuck's been going on with the formations lately, too? Like, can we decide on one formation and say this is what we'll play? Like at the start of the season, it was 3 at the back, and then it was 4-3-3, and then blah blah blah. And now we ended the season with 4-2-3-1 again with a classic 10. Where is all of this going? Like where? I think in preseason he needs to go, okay, this football team's playing 4-2-3-1. Here are the roles. I remember thinking back on the best season, that first season and the second season. It was really like, this is our formation and we're playing. He's, if I remember correctly, and the 4-3-3 maybe came out. Yeah.
Labro, take your finger away from the microphone because your sound keeps cutting in and out.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to use this damn thing. Anyway, just build a goddamn system, and with that, probably I'm done for the night. I'll probably head out because I hate this goddamn phone application bullshit. I'm sorry, everyone.
Hey, you know.
Okay.
Go back to your missus.
All right, boys. Good night.
Calmita, yes, Labro.
Midweek where I can use the mic and build. Anyway.
No. Bye bye, bro. Stay safe.
Sorry for the voice. God damn it. Anyway, good night.
Ciao. All right, so interesting discussion around Onyekuru.
And one more thing, I think we need a classic 6 player, classic destroyer, Exarias we say in Greece. Like, do you remember a player we had with Valverde? His name was Ledesma, an Argentinian guy.
Lemonis had him.
Lemonis, yes. You
I remember. Right? I remember Ledesma. I really liked him.
These are that kind of players we need to achieve something in Europe.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of player. We don't have.
None of our midfielders can do, like, can destroy things as Siopis could do, but we let him go, for example.
But Ledesma could play too. He could switch the ball 20, 30 yards across the field. He was a very good player. And then he got injured against Ajax. I really like this player. I remember very well. He got injured against Ajax in December and then didn't play for a few months. And I think he left like at the end of that season.
But he was really good. He was really good. I was talking with my friend Stoltidis.
Yeah,
they were playing the same time, and he used to, like, he told me that he was a great guy and a great player. They were pairing very good together.
Yeah, I mean they got to the last 16 game against Chelsea, isn't it? Both of them playing together in midfield.
Do you remember Bellucci shot in London?
I was at the game. Yeah.
You were, right?
I was at the game when he came on and he hit the bar. But he was introducing himself then. Huh? He just came in December that year, and we'd paid $7.5 million for 50%. I remember very well. What else have we got? Who haven't we talked about? I'm trying to think today. Who haven't we talked about? I got one for you, Roman. Kunde. What do you think about Kunde?
I think
this is an interesting one.
Every question about should we keep him, sell him, loan him, it's a very relative question because it depends what kind of money are like teams gonna offer for one or another player, right?
Right.
In general, I think we is Kunde kinotikos or not? How is kinotikos in English?
Cynical. Kinotikos. Mobile.
No. I mean, does he have a European nationality, or he's African?
No, he's. Yes. I think he's. No, he's from Cameroon. I don't think he has a European passport.
Yeah, I think that plays a role when you're about to build and rebuild your team, and you have to get rid of players, bring some new faces. You have to consider that as well. He was very good last few games actually when he was started. But I don't think he's good enough to be a starter. He can be a backup, but not a starter. So it all depends what kind of money we're being offered for him.
Yeah, I mean, squad player on that kind of contract, it's a bit of a luxury. I'm
not sure how much he earns. I don't know how much he earns.
I think he's getting close to $1 million.
Oh, that's too much. Yeah, that's too much for a squad player.
Yeah. So I don't think he got a decent run in the team. I think a lot of people kind of look at the stats and they say, oh, he played 25 games or however many games he played. But, playing 15 minutes here and there and not playing consistently, not getting a consistent run in a team where, first team players are playing, I think perhaps he was the recipient of some overly harsh criticism. And we saw that our midfield was much more mobile when he was in these last few games towards the end of the season. The pressure was off, of course, and the league was won.
But I don't think he wants to stay either. I mean, I don't think he can accept to be a backup player. He used to play in Germany, and he cannot how can you stay in? How can be a bench warmer in the Greek Super League, even if you play Olympiacos when you were a starter in Germany, right?
I mean, he wasn't a starter at Mainz before he came to us, because I remember he basically he got injured and then he fell
I think
out.
he was starter. Then they switched to another coach and he was benched. Yeah, something like that happened.
He fell out of favor. So I don't know. I think it's again, like you said, one of those things. If a really interesting offer comes in for him, then you never know. But I think that he can. I think that he can offer something next season, for sure.
How old is he, by the way? 26, 27, something like that?
He's born 1995.
Oh, yes. I think he should be
below 30. He's below 30, if anything.
What about El Arabi? He's staying?
We talked about El Arabi.
Yeah, sorry, I joined you like half an hour ago. I'm not sure if
we talked about El Arabi at the beginning of the show around the potential renewal.
Just briefly, what was your thoughts about that?
It's a tough one because it kind of depends who the other striking options are as well. Because I think if Tiquinho leaves, then you can kind of afford to keep him. But then it depends, like, who do you sign? Because you'll need another striker. We were talking now with Labro that if you look at the three strikers that we're going to be starting pre-season with, by the looks of things, you've got Tiquinho and Hassan, and maybe El Arabi if he re-signs his contract. I think ideally for me, you sell Tiquinho and Hassan, you keep El Arabi, preferably on a contract that's below 2 million, but now they're reporting that they've offered him 2 million. You need a mobile striker. And I don't know, are we really going to be having Zahavi play with El Arabi next season? I know Zahavi's a more mobile striker. He's 35.
Zahavi, yeah, he's 35. I mean, how mobile can you be when you're 35?
He is very mobile, though, Roman. Like, on the pitch, you can't tell he's 35. He really has a fantastic body. Like, I think model professional.
Really?
No, he's really fantastic. Like, I have seen him play a couple of games.
I remember him only from the game we played last year against PSV.
Fantastic player.
He was very good, yeah, but I mean, that's not enough to judge one player just from 2 games.
No, but again, like, you look at his stats this season as well. It's like more than 10 goals, more than 10 assists. He can do everything. Like, he can score from set pieces, he can score with his head, he can score from distance, he can score from everywhere. And he's not a like for like El Arabi replacement, because he's a little shorter, like, he's more mobile, he's a bit faster.
But you cannot say that he's like a pacey striker that you can play in Europe and counter-attack.
No, but again, like, if you start to look at some of the names that are being thrown around, and in terms of our transfer targets, you still get the sense that Pedro Martins is a player that likes volume in terms of crosses into the box. So he likes to have that typical kind of front man that is a fox in the box, so to speak, and gets good service. I don't know. We've kind of moved away from Guerrero, like the first season, Guerrero was playing a lot of, he was our, I think, number 1 striker.
Yeah, he was the number 1 striker, and then he switched to Hassan in the middle of the season, something like that happened.
Yeah, sort of. But we were playing essentially Guerrero and Fortounis up front, and they were switching. One was dropping back, the other one was going forward, and we had a high press. It's true, like you kind of lose that with El Arabi. Can Zahavi do it? I don't know. I would like to see us have a more mobile striker, but getting those kinds of players, it means you have to pay a lot of money. It's risk. It's risk. You have to pay money to get a player like that.
Man, I mean, if we are willing to pay 2 million to El Arabi, and how much Zahavi is about to earn, like
1.5,
1.5, yeah, something 1.5, right? I think you can find a player that suits you, like a pacey, a fast player. It doesn't have to be like I don't know, like our first starting forward, but sooner or later you're gonna need him, either in derby games in Greece when you're like leading in the game and you have to, you know, keep the score and play on the counter attacks as Martins likes to do sometimes. In Europe, of course, I mean, we almost forgot the feeling that we're counter attacking and like we have fast players in front. We don't have fast wingers, we don't have fast forwards. We're very, very slow.
Yeah, we know this. It's not like we haven't been talking about wing backs and wingers all season, but who else have we got? I mean, Ronnie Lopez is going back to Seville. By the looks of things, it's not going to be one of those things where we'll be looking to bring him back. I'll be very surprised. Onyekuru will probably be sold. Be interesting to see how much money we get for him. I don't expect it's going to be a lot. Let's see. And then you're left with Masouras and Mario Vrusai, who we didn't talk about, but for me, Vrusai, again, probably sell him. I think it's a missed opportunity for him this season. I know he had some injuries and he started playing right back and then he started playing winger again, but I think it's done for him. I think it's done.
Do you agree that we need two starter wingers? Or you would keep Masouras on?
I think we need a profile winger that is completely different from Masouras. Whether or not Masouras starts is a different question. I think in a team that has a Podence or a Miralas or a Galletti type player, then you have one of those types of players on the wing and Masouras on the other one. And Masouras offers that option of, you know, the essentially a number 9 that plays on the wing.
Yeah, but he can. Masouras technically he can play on both wings, right? He can be inside forward on the left and winger on the right.
Thank you. And we've got Gary Rodriguez as well. I think he can be a decent option coming off the bench. Not a starter for me, but yeah, we need a Podence type player on the other wing.
You cannot find Podence every year, you know. It's like one in 10 years you can find an opportunity like that.
Yeah. No, I mean we all know the side story to that.
Tell me.
No, go ahead.
And one like basic thought I had about the whole conversation about the transfers, who we should keep, sell, or loan, or whatever. We should sell and get rid of all the players that don't want to stay. If you're not motivated to play in Olympiacos, feel free to go. Thank you for everything. We don't need you anymore. We were talking about that for Camara, for Ba possibly, for many players that you can see they're not motivated to play in our team. I mean, it's not our team. Most likely it's our league, right?
Yeah.
They're aiming for something higher. We missed the right timing to sell Camara 1 year ago. His value went down, and we shouldn't miss the opportunity like that in this summer.
Yeah, it's hard to know when to sell at the right time. I mean, the best example is probably not even Madi Camara. It's Ruben Semedo.
But yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, by the way, what about Semedo? He's coming back?
Well, they're saying that Porto want to sign him permanently because Mbemba didn't renew his contract. So they need a centre back, and the other one they have is Pape, and Pepe's like 40. Like literally, he's 40 years old.
Yeah.
So the issue is going to be how much, and I think we have a relationship with Porto. I mean, Jose Sar's come from Porto. Porto had a percentage of Oleg as well before we signed him. And Jose Sa, we signed for lower than what his option was because we loaned him, remember, the first season. And then there was the issue of re-signing him, and we ended up getting him for less money than what his option was. So I think the option that we've agreed with Porto is 5.5 million.
You mean for Semedo?
The Semedo, but I think there's been a lot of talk about the way that they've used him, or rather they haven't used him since he went there. And that was an effort to bring his price tag down. Let's see. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I don't. I mean, Semedo's been cut by the manager as well, so he's not going to be at preseason. So we need to sell.
All right, fair enough.
So that's what we've got. Well, listen, Roman, we're coming up to 2 hours.
Sure. Yeah, I can see. I can see that.
I'm going to call it a night.
I have to sleep as well.
Thanks very much for coming on. Always a pleasure. And
thank you guys. Thank you guys. Cheers.
Stay safe. See you next time.
Stay red from Moscow. Bye bye.
That was Roman Smirnidis calling in from Moscow. Guys, thanks very much for tuning in today. We're coming up to 2 hours on the podcast of this Keep, Sell, Loan special edition. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Maybe there are some players we didn't talk about today. It's difficult to go through the entire roster, but we've done a job, tried our best. Vasilis Surlis, we didn't get to talk about. Apostolopoulos, some of the B team players. If there are some players that you would like us to comment on specifically, maybe we can do that in a future episode. Leave a comment below in the chat on YouTube after this is over. We'll come back to it. Again, thank you so much for all the support. Thank you for sticking with us during today's episodes, no matter where you're calling from. We are Gate 7 International. See you next time.